Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Challenge 41 Wrap Up Podcast for episode 4. I am Brian Cohen. With me, as always, is my co-host, Ali Lasher. Ali, hi.
Wait, sorry, Brian, your audio is a little choppy. I'm just kidding.
All right, that's it for me. I'll see you later.
Oh my God. If only like people cared as much about your microphone as they do this podcast. I guess they do. In a way, it was nice to hear people care about the quality of the podcast.
It's a reminder that people they want to hear what I have to say when it's breaking up every other word. It bothers them, but that's great because I feel like for other people, they would be like, let his mic break out. Why do we even have to hear any words? So I think this is fixed for now. We have, I broke this out, I feel like in COVID one time. And that's it's being brought out again.
Is this a full-time switch? So for the audio-only listeners, I would, please stay audio-only. I'll just let you know the visual. Brian is wearing the travel headset. I have a version of this too, my travel mic. Is this your permanent fix now?
No, there is a professional one, I believe, in the mail coming from the great Sam Moore. So we'll see what that setup is. But honestly, this one is pretty good. I like wearing these more than the AirPods sometimes. They're a little comfier on the ears. So I don't know, Sam. Maybe I'll just I might just keep this. It's kind of easy, kind of nice little. I feel like I'm like Ben. I'm like the play-by-play guy with a little headset here. So I don't know. Maybe it works.
Yeah, it looks so lame though. But whatever. Like I don't care. Maybe it will dissuade people from watching the YouTube.
We can only hope.
It's fine. Yeah, it's funny because when my brother listened to him being tangentially mentioned in our preview, he was like, Brian needs a new mic. And I was like, meh. But apparently it only got worse and worse. I guess we could have helped you out there.
Yeah, it got worse. But it's okay. That's what the audience is for. And now here we are. Luckily, it was for an episode that the episode stunk. So it's not like you weren't missing much less. Like not our podcast. I'm sure our podcast was good. But the episode of the television show, there was not much there. Could have been an email. So if you skip that one, you come back here. Big episode this week. Big person going home this week. Spoiler alert. Bananas. A lot to come back to.
Yeah, I did appreciate all of the feedback, especially the multiple people who were like, Ali sounds great, trying to great. So your mic can stay broken as far as I'm concerned. I sound great.
I did see a lot of those comments. I felt those are kind of backhanded shots. Also, I was like, oh, Ali sounds great. She sounds wonderful. Brian, he's a little, work on him.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a technical perspective, people wanted to be like, it's not like I've deduced that Brian's the problem. I've also deduced Brian's the problem. It has nothing to do with that.
I feel like Twitter's deduced that as well on a number of occasions. So, although I had a lot of people on my side this week, it was nice. It was nice. I, when I informed Emily of a tweet that does very well, it's normally like, oh, I made this person mad, and now this community's coming at me. Here it was like I said a tweet, and everyone was happy, and people were actually stealing it for their own benefit to make themselves look good. So that never happens. Like no one was stealing my Bonnie tweet back in the day. So this was nice. This was a fun reprieve.
Yeah, I think opening the show with technical difficulties and brags about Big Brother tweets doing numbers does go to show like the amount of content to talk about in this episode. And not to dismiss the fact that Bananas does go home. I think there's a lot of conversation that was sort of set up last week about, is Banana the challenge? Well, we're about to find out because we lose him episode 4. We're going to have to get through a few episodes without him. We'll see how the numbers do here.
Yep.
Not just your Twitter numbers. But I have a number of grievances throughout the episode.
Okay.
And the first one comes right at the top because TJ's been doing the this week on the challenge voiceovers.
Yeah. Weird.
It's like, isn't it weird? Like I'm used to the All-Stars kitschiness of when they used to have the winners of the week before be like, this would happen last week. Why are we future casting what we're about to watch? The Bachelor always did that. And I'm like, I'm going to watch the episode. I don't need to see a preview.
Right.
But aside of just being annoying, they pretty much said exactly what was going to happen on the full episode. So we basically get told that a challenge legend, I don't know, I'm putting it in quotes, he is a challenge legend, will have to fight to get back in the game. And they flash to Bananas, CT, and Leroy. And then the first scene is Cara coaching Gabe to just volunteer himself to go in. It's all but certain with the edit last week and the preview this week on that we're going to get Bananas and Gabe in this elimination in the first 20 seconds of the episode.
Yeah. The one thing that I totally agree with you. It's very weird, and the challenge always does. I mean, it's not many shows, not many reality competition shows do like mid-season trailers. It's not like Survivor going into the merge or like, look what's coming up on the rest of the season of Survivor. Like the challenge is weird like that, where they like are openly spoiling the show. And like here, yeah, it's weird to talk about what's going to happen during upcoming an episode. But the one thing I appreciate is there was no like fake rope-a-dope, right? I feel like we dealt with that a lot in All Stars, where it was like, all right, they're clearly going to vote this team, and then whoop, they wrote the other team, and then with the flashback as to the reason why. It's like here, it was pretty well laid out. Like, yeah, Bananas loses, he goes in. Gabe, there was like a little debate about who was going to go in, but it was like, no, Gabe's 100% going in. So like they didn't fake it. Like they kind of let the storyline naturally play out, which I kind of appreciate. Like, I don't need them to manufacture a fake storyline in an episode. There's gonna be 20 plus episodes. There's supposed to be other storylines that they could naturally fit in. So here, if this was like a matter of fact, like this is what's gonna happen this week, sure. Let's just see how it plays out and let's get to the elimination and see who wins.
I don't disagree with you on that part, which is why my grievance is they didn't need to tell us in the first 10 seconds how the challenge was going to result, right? Because like if we got to the challenge and bananas came last, that's interesting, right? Like let me be surprised, because I forgot to gripe about this part. Like after they tell us Banana, CT, or Leroy is going to go in, Bananas gets a quote saying, "I'm outperforming every veteran man. I have a great partner this week. I will not be voted in." And it's like, okay, so Bananas is going to go in. Like, you know, and so I just didn't need them to spoil it. I would have been happy. I agree. It could have been worse. It could always be worse.
Mm-hmm.
But like, let's enjoy the suspense of the challenge, right? Like it jumping ahead to the challenge. It was very interesting to see Bananas like totally blow it. It'd be totally his fault. And we'll talk about it. But just feeling like I knew that before the result of the challenge was a bit unnecessary.
A little bit. I did almost think they were teasing up a CT potentially going into elimination, just because of the conversation with him and Ben felt so odd. I guess it makes a little bit more sense now that Ben like wins this daily. They're trying to build him up as maybe like an actual contender in this thing. So to get to see him picking CT's brain a little bit, I guess makes sense. But it almost felt like they were teasing up CT as such a force in elimination. I thought we were going to see CT in an elimination. So the Leroy one kind of was like bizarre to even like mention, because I don't think his name was even uttered the entire episode. So it was really just whether it was going to be Bananas or CT. And I actually thought there was a chance it was going to be CT here.
Fair enough. Hopefully more of the audience read it like you and less like me. I think just my individual watching experience is a little tainted. But Leroy's name was mentioned, and it was when Tay called him underrated. Which is like, I almost think like I overrate Leroy at this point.
100%.
Like I don't think Leroy maybe it really does speak to like what's going on in the house, and all of the newts are like not that plugged into like what Leroy's career has been. Maybe his brief retirement coincided with their brief attention to the challenge, and now he's this kind of like all-stars Derek K kind of character to them, and less like a CT Bananas, which is fair probably, but like I underrated. Like my head exploded when they called him that.
Yeah, I mean, you can say like beloved. Sure, we could use that as the word for Leroy. Underrated, it definitely doesn't match. Although he was also called like a puzzle master last week, so they really have no idea who this Leroy person is. They're just meeting him for the first time. They're probably all the talk is about Bananas and Leroy, or Bananas and CT, and they see this like menacing figure who's like super strong and athletic, and Leroy. They're like, oh, this he should be mentioned amongst the legends of Bananas and CT. And sure enough, there's a reason why he's not.
So we talked about the Kara coaching Gabe moment, but like one thing that was interesting is we really only see the other contestants talking about the idea that Gabe might volunteer to go in this week as the person facing judgment. Perhaps there's where we didn't see. I think even as between him and Naya, it's a bit overblown how bad Gabe's social game has been. I mean, maybe he really is just like a pariah in the house beyond the Naya moment. I think Ben says like he unloaded a magazine into his foot, not just shot himself in the foot. It seems a little dramatic for what we've seen on the show. But what do you think of the idea that Gabe needs this redemption and he should volunteer to go in this week?
it seems like that was more of a narrative that would fit everyone else in the house that could potentially be thrown in. It's like, oh, this is a great way to get Gabe to get himself in. We can spin it like this. And I think it's more the pariah aspect of it. I think the fact that Gabe, he's not from like the UK group, so he's not, in the UK lines. He's not from a CBS show, so he's not in that world. So that leaves him in this like weird limbo of people. And he hasn't won like Justin was kind of like that, and then he had like a great moment winning an elimination, and now he's kind of ushered in. Ben's kind of been like a weird limbo. Here he wins a daily. Now he's kind of ushered into this conversation. The only thing we've seen from Gabe is like crapping on Nia a little bit. So he needed his moment, and I think him wiping the floor with bananas, like he's not going to be a pariah anymore. I think all of a sudden the eyes are open of Gabe being like, whoa, this guy is like maybe right up there with like Jeremy as like a monster threat in this game. And now people are going to be flocking to him more. So I think he was just in a weird spot, and he needed a moment to like show what he could do physically. And, he had that moment and he smashed it.
I'm curious what actually happened, because we saw Michaela saying throwing yourself in is stupid. We saw Cara saying he should throw himself in. I don't think we actually see a conversation between Gabe and Michaela and Ben, who will end up being in power. I don't think we also see any conversation of Gabe really politicking either with anyone. So I'm not sure what happened. If he thinks it's just a foregone conclusion, maybe he didn't campaign. Maybe it's not such a bad move to, even from a television perspective, if you're going to go in, to try to get some moment out of it and say like, I'll go in and earn my stripes or whatever you want to say. I think unfortunately for Gabe, once Bananas does lose, Gabe is the, like you said, unanimous, consensus pick, easiest consensus pick. One is somebody who could really beat Bananas potentially, just like physically, and someone that all sides of the house can just like get on board with, because he's not really working with anyone. And it's an interesting juxtaposition this episode between Ben and Gabe. I think the only two people who are not from another show at all. So, definitely coming in at a disadvantage in some ways. Maybe it's an advantage in other ways, like no one knows you. I don't know, whatever. But, Ben has been focused. This episode we get a real Ben visibility spike, which I think we expected would mean he's going home. Not the case, at least this episode. But we're hearing Aviv, Ashley, CT, like talk about how much they like Ben. Oh, Ben's kind of a good guy. We see him kind of play off Michaela and say like, I'll do whatever you want. I'll take your lead. They're really playing kind of opposite social games. Kind of going to be interesting to still see them track each other in the house, where Gabe's able to maybe moving forward more rely on being a physical threat that people don't want to go in against, and a partner that maybe some of the girls will want to have on their team, versus Ben, not necessarily the most physical threat, but a really apparently well-liked social player. So they're kind of a fun yin and yang.
Yeah. And it just goes to show how well the new threat crop is. They're all different in their own way, all from different shows, different countries, different everything. And they're all kind of bringing something different, unique to the table. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where Gabe goes from here, because he really showed off this elimination. So I think people can like Ben as a partner, people can want to work with him, but push comes to shove, they're going to want someone that they feel they can run a final with, and I think Gabe is making himself quite the contender for that regard.
For sure. A lot of our listeners thought that Ben is their personal Mitch watch of the season, which for any newer viewers, Mitch watch is like someone you can count on to be doing something weird behind the scenes, / maybe someone you don't love, but they'll grow on you, something like that. I actually think the Mitch watch this season is Turbo. So we get yet another scene, and now maybe it's not in the background. It's not a perfect
kind of in your
analogy.
Face, yeah, a little in your face.
It's the Mitch. Sometimes it's the Mitch that hits you right in the face.
Sure.
Like, the skies out, thighs out moment from Turbo, I think, pushes me over the edge into just like, when they need a moment of levity, which I cannot believe I'm saying this, they're gonna cut to Turbo. With a little notebook writing down inappropriate sayings he can say for the ladies while he's in LA.
And I love smartly, great forward thinking from Turbo asking, is this a slur? Like, should I not be saying this? Are you trying to get me canceled? Are you trying to get me in trouble? Are you trying to be kicked out of the show? So great forethought by Turbo to get that clarified from Bananas. But that's almost the thing I'm almost going to miss most about Bananas this season is like his budding, buddy cop duo with Turbo. They've had a few of these scenes now, and Turbo's going to need a new buddy. Maybe it'll be CT. Maybe he'll just slide on over to a different legend and go from there. But I'm really going to miss their dynamic. They've been a lot of fun. Really from the get-go when they were like holding hands, skipping along at the episode 0. And now, they're separated. Tough love.
100%. They've been a great little duo. I think Turbo, could continue this with any number of people, but like Bananas definitely has a certain level of confidence when talking to Turbo that others newer people might not have. Mm-hmm. It is crazy to hear Turbo care if he's saying bad words based on the song he previously released. But I'm glad to see some reformation there. So that's, I welcome the change. Mm-hmm. And then we were truly, truly blessed to see a visual demonstration of skies out, thighs out, suns out, buns out from CT. Yeah. So maybe, you move Bananas over, bring in the charismatic CT, as Ben lets us know. CT's got a great personality and shows off his other assets with Turbo.
It's a great scene.
Were you amazed by the scene?
I was amazed. I was amazed at how much fun TJ's having. I think this is the most all-starsy TJ we've seen on a challenge proper in a while. I feel like these are the type of things the jokes he'd be making on an all-star season, and we feel like TJ's like unbuttoning his shirt a little bit and having fun. I feel like he's having that here. Maybe that's like the stress, not the stress, but like the importance of 40, right? And now he's kind of like back on the 41. He can kind of just like, this is just a regular old challenge season. I can relax and make some jokes a little bit. And he's having a great time.
Now, is this based off the puns he made about the name Amazed, or is this based on him saying to America, cutting her right to the bone, better to be lucky than good? So you got those 2 default points. Pretty harsh.
Harsh, but true. I mean, there's a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate in the community. Should those 2 points have been given? I think it's fair to question it. I think it's fair to bring it up. And I don't think America would be like, no, I earned those 2 points. So, she took it in stride. I stopped talking just as you took a sip. That was my bad. It's bad timing.
I mean, I should be just available to talk on the podcast. I shouldn't be. Although I did have some baby carrots I was interested in, and I was like, I can't bring those on pod.
It's kind of loud. A little loud. The mute function is there, so that helps. But it takes a while.
The meat function? The mute.
The mute. But it's like at least like a 6 or 7 bites to get through a carrot, so that's a little bit of time.
Nah, more of an NGOG thing than a challenge video podcast idea. It's funny. I think TJ was listening perhaps last week when he tells us as he sets up the challenge how the rules will work if they run out of time or are DQ'd.
Yes, we get the full rules. DQing leads to whoever has the most wrong answers is deemed last. And that's how it works. And for the overall structure of the challenge, as you mentioned, it's called Amazed. That in 2 heats, running through a maze of 120 containers. And you have to run, find a maze, or find a checkpoint that had a puzzle. The further away they are, the easier the puzzle, because it's harder to get to. The closer they are, the harder the puzzle. And you have to do the puzzle. I think it was a 45-minute or 25-minute or 30. There's a time limit, so you could time out and DQ. And whoever had the fastest time between the 2 heats win. The most wrong answers, if you DQ'd, is the loser.
Yeah, it was 45 minutes because I did go back to when Bananas, spoiler to the spoiler to the spoiler. Bananas and Lekka Bananas decides to pull all of the numbers down and start again with 5 minutes left on the clock. At first they showed us the 39-minute timer, and I was like, oh, if he has an hour, great idea. And then when they said 45-minute timeout, I was like, hold on, let me go back. Did I miss that? I guess he obviously didn't know the time.
Right.
Maybe, I'd be curious to know if you could ask, if you could get a time check. Presumably not.
Probably not.
That's a rough call for the Banana Man.
It's a tough call. Tough daily. I think it's a daily that makes sense. I know they like to do these type of puzzles. I didn't realize when they said the closer puzzles would be easier, the harder, or whatever, the easy and harder puzzles. I thought there'd be different puzzles. I didn't realize there would be difficulties of Sudokus. I think watching 14 Sudokus go down, it was a little Big Brother-y of, oh, in this one I have to see the 7 because the 7 can't go here or here. So I could, but like I understand there were some funny moments, like Ashley yelling at her partner was like very funny. Some other entertaining moments. The process of watching 14 Sudokus, especially given the history of Sudokus in the challenge, it left a little to be desired.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think we've seen that on Survivor before, where you could do like a 20-piece puzzle, a 50-piece puzzle. Like, so that would have been interesting to see different puzzles. I liked the concept. I liked that there was a maze component. We saw that play out where CT and Adrian are able to edge out Olivia and Jeremy because of like the maze portion of it, which I think was like a cool addition, and obviously adding some running component, right? Like we saw, I forget who was like gassed out and was like, let's just do this puzzle because I'm not like running anymore in this maze.
Theo was gassed at some point, but I also think they couldn't find the puzzle, so he doesn't have that dog in him.
It didn't bother me as much to watch the edited version of the Sudoku. I agree it's less interesting when they're actually like caring about it. I thought some of the interpersonal dynamics were interesting, like the Ben and Michaela of it all, of like Michaela's hilarious confession of like, Ben somehow found a way to make himself useful, like Stan a useful man, but he has to tell me how he has to show his work before I let him put any number in. Like that's hilarious. But I do agree with you. Once they did the second heat, and I'm sure this would be hard to build a maze that 14 teams could run together, then do it 7 weeks from now. You know, like once they started again and I realized like, oh, right, they're not finishing in the order and there's no like resolution of seeing them finish and that order mattering. You lost me, gal, for the second heat.
Yeah, look, they can't all be winners, and I think I understand the concept of wanting to put some like an endurance with a puzzle and some strategy of which one you pick. Like in theory, the concept of this daily makes sense. They're not all going to be visually appealing. They're not all going to be visually entertaining. This one wasn't, and that's okay. That's why there's a whole bunch of them. That the elimination was great. We can get to that. So then sometimes the eliminations are done. The daily is good. Here, the daily wasn't that great. But I there was some funny, like you said, the Ben and Michaela stuff was great. The Ashley and Leo stuff was very funny. It's also interesting that all the interesting dynamics was the women like bossing around the men, and it was a men's day. So in theory, like the Ashley and Michaela, like this then was meaningless to them for the most part, and it was just funny to see them so into it. Compared to like and Ben and Leo just like took a step back and they were like, I might be going in because my partner is like yelling at me, but I'm gonna ride with it.
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder if that's A, if it's just people being competitive, B, if the points are actually making a real difference, like motivating people, or C, I think, and it would be interesting if we could like think about this week to week, but I won't remember, is like, this is a day where the winning couple really does have power. Versus the opposite week where you just save a couple meaninglessly. Sure. So yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see the women going this hard on a men's day. I'm more interested to see at some point if we'll see women like throwing the challenges who are partnered with people they don't want to be safe. Another week, though, where we don't find out the order, and this time I couldn't reverse it from like the finish order from the map. But what I could do a little bit is almost put together the order, not enough to be sure about the points, but based on the order they selected the teams. So we do find out that Ben and Michaela win. CT and Adrian come in second. I think Jeremy and Olivia are in third. Leroy and Taylor come in fourth. Then there's some vagueness because Derek C and Izzy picked Derek K and D respectively. So it's like hard to say if they finished before or after, but sort of like they're like a next chunk. Turbo and Sydney probably finished somewhere in the second to fourth range, but they were also picked.
Right.
And then I think it's Will and Anissa and Izzy and Derek. But I don't understand why they can't tell us who's finishing this challenge.
Right. It would take half a second just to flash it up. The first three. It would take so little to to do it. I don't get why they're secretive about it.
And we're supposed to care about the points. It would be annoying, but it would be one thing if it was just like, we're going to tell you who wins, we're going to tell you who's last, and we're going to move on. Like, but I'm supposed to be tallying up these freaking points, and I'm doing all this math, and now I just got to wait till next week till someone on the wiki figures it out.
Right. And then so Bananas loses, and he tosses out a stat. We need challenge stats to vet this. But if it's true, I'm going to take him for Bananas' word, which, fool me once, shame on me. He says this is the first time in his history that he has ever lost a daily to go straight into elimination. That is unbelievable.
Well, here's the stat I want worked out. Yes, it's impressive. But like, how many of those 25 seasons even had that as a mechanism? Because even going into the draw wouldn't count, even if he pulls a kill card or goes into right. Like, what he is saying is he's never lost and gone straight in, which is, I feel like less than half would be that mechanism. Am I
probably? I was thinking like that he's done what, like 25 seasons. I would say like 11 or 12 of them have had a mechanism of, or maybe even like 10. Let's say it's 10. Of that. That's still a crazy amount of dailies. And most of the time he's making it all the way to the end. And a lot of times when there's like 5-6 pairs left, and it's not even, you wouldn't even take that bad of a performance to get a loss to go straight in. The fact that it's never happened, that might be the most impressive thing of his entire career, that he hasn't had something like that happen, that he's the only time he's ever gotten into elimination, he's had to be voted in or like some other mechanism. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not as blown away by it, or maybe it's just not as surprising to me, because I think Bananas always is a top third physical competitor, at least in modern seasons. Even back then, obviously he had some early exits, but like, it doesn't surprise me that he's not dead last in a daily frequently. And that, or if ever, he's not saying I've never come in dead last in a daily. So maybe he has. Or in those challenges, they probably don't play it out to have dead last. Anyway, I'm more impressed by 7 wins. I think 7 wins is a more impressive stat. But yeah, it's certainly impressive. It's notable. It's unfortunate for him that it comes on the heels of him screaming that he is the challenge and he's the best and he's the GOAT.
Tough luck.
Yeah, it's another stat. I'm surprised. Are you surprised he hasn't touted this stat before? That he hasn't said like, I've never gone straight into an elimination.
It's a mouthful, like to say like, and I've never lost a daily to automatically go into elimination. Like there's a lot of words in that to tout. 7 titles is certainly a lot easier just to spit out. I guess I need to see the comparison. Like how many times has this happened to CT or Jordan or West or Cara or Laurel? Like I don't know. I guess I would need to see a comparison. Like maybe it seems more impressive than it is. Like most of these people have never done it, or it's like happened once at most. So I don't know. It just seemed wild, especially for him, because he's just been on so many seasons that something like this hasn't happened. But yeah, maybe in my head it seems more impressive than it even is.
Yeah. I don't mean to like say it's not impressive, but let's someone who's not me crunch the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm glad Banana said it, because I think somebody else also was like, I think this might be the first time. And then I'm like Googling, and then Bananas confirms in a confessional. So like at least they did like go back and have him address that. Something I need addressed. And I don't mean to put anyone's image, appearance at issue. I don't want mine at issue.
Okay.
I have to know the story behind Ben wearing a sleeveless turtleneck to the club.
We've been doing this a long time. I don't think I've ever noted someone's outfit before. Like normally we do the reunion, and it's like I know coming into that, and we're going to talk about people's outfits, and I always forget. I wrote down, what on earth is he wearing? I have never seen the Steve Jobs cut with a tank top before. That was so bizarre. It's got to be a certain fashion choice. It's got to be something that's trending that I'm just like not aware of. But it was so notable. Was it a dare? What was happening to the turtleneck tank? It's a wild choice.
Yeah, it was like the Elizabeth, what's her name?
Elizabeth Holmes.
The Elizabeth
Yeah.
Holmes. You know what it was? And this is a deep cut that I think is only for you and no one else.
You can see the Sassy Schroeder in the back.
Yes, it's the bathing suit. It is the Kyle Cook, the version in black, Kyle Cook VPR Summer House crossover bathing suit.
Yeah, that Stassi was wearing. Yeah, no, it is. It's a what a. We've been doing this a long time.
But once I get past that, I mean, he doesn't look bad. Like, it's not even like
no, it looks
just
fun. He looks good. Like he
looks good. Okay,
I mean, I don't know. I'll back up. I don't know if it looks good, but like, I could pull something like that off. I don't know. It also just doesn't, like, Ben just seems like a normal guy, and that seems like something that, like, someone who's more fashion forward would, like, try to push as a trend. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's like Theo. I feel like could be wearing something like that, and I would be like, yeah, that that tracks. I think Theo's
it's
like
giving European, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it is. It's giving European, and it's not giving UFC commentator. Like, it's just not the vibe.
All right, you heard it here, people.
From don't one come man on your podcast. Ben doesn't need to blast me now. Like, this is all. I don't need the clip of it. Oh, Ben's coming.
That redhead is gonna be pissed. But in any case, I will give Ben kudos. I think I was impressed with how he approached his win in sort of the beta position as like the Newt, and with somebody who would want to sort of be strategizing in control. Michaela likes to be thinking this out. She's demonstrated, whether Ben's seen other seasons or not, she's demonstrated with her willingness to call Olivia out based on her save choice last week, right? Like, she's thinking about the game. So coming to Michaela and sort of deferring to her, I think, is the right move. Up until the last 5 minutes of this episode with Michaela and Ben, I was ready to come here and say, why is Michaela overplaying her hand and expending all of this social capital on a men's day? And then she ends up coming to that realization and dropping the entire decision on Ben. But as we see Michaela, like, strategizing through this, were you like with her? Were you happy to see her considering like putting a vet male, thinking Gabe was like a waste? Or were you where I was of like, why are we working this hard?
Yeah, I mean, from an entertainment perspective, like, if she wanted to have like Theo and Bananas go head to head in the elimination, sure, sign me up for it. That sounds great. From a gameplay perspective, yeah, I didn't really understand where she was coming from, and I think she landed on exactly where my head was. Like, A, it's a men's day, so Michaela maybe save this social capital on like a women's day when you really have to try to rally the troops. B, it seemed like Gabe was pretty locked in to be going in no matter what, so you can kind of do that. And C, if you're trying to, I think she was juggling between wanting to like maybe work with Bananas but also get a vet out, and like those are like kind of conflicting things. So she wanted to do something big, which I love that about Michaela. That's what she's always been preaching to do. But what I like is, I think it seemed like she was exerting more social capital than she even was. I think a lot of it was in confessionals. I think a lot of it was like, we need to take a big shot, wasting it on Gabe. I think a lot of that was in confessionals, and she wasn't pushing so hard beyond the conversation she was just having with Ben that I don't think she didn't like dole out any cards, she didn't dole out any promises. So I think she could like save this like built up desire to do a bigger move and at a better time. And I don't think she like wasted anything. She like backtracked it enough that I think she's still in a decent shape.
Yeah, part of this might just be like the way the edit kind of needed to stretch out. So like, I'm open to the idea that she did absolutely nothing to her position in the game. That said, like with the edit, like we complained about this with this like disjointed Michaela comment at the end of Kara's roast. Like here, I feel like we got a lot of disjointed, like weirdly placed confessionals from Michaela that, again, I don't think are like Michaela talking about like a certain particular moment. It's just like when they need to put it together. That's leaving me with a lot of questions about where Michaela stands in the house, because like Ben tells us that his relationship with Michaela is a bit confused or compromised through them sort of working through this. So whether that's a big loss to Michaela or not remains to be seen. Then Michaela puts Cedric, I think, in a little bit of a hot seat where she's like trying to get a name out of him. And he's like telling us in the confessional, like he's not going to give a name because he thinks he's in this like really good, like fun kind of good time guy spot, which I agree. But then Michaela like has this weird disjointed confessional being like, this is such a waste to get rid of someone so disconnected. Like she's upset. So again, I don't think we're really seeing any backlash on Michaela in the actual conversations in the show. It's almost just like the way they're like editing these like back-to-back confessionals. Because then even Michaela talks to Lecca and like she's kind of saying like, well, why would Leo vote for Gabe when he made this huge speech? People lack brain cells or choose not to use them. Like she's just getting a lot of these I'm frustrated confessionals as though she has this strong agenda. But I don't really think we see a strong point of view from Michaela on this vote.
No, and I don't think Michaela needed a strong point. Like in terms of where she stands in the game, I think she stands like in a pretty good spot. Like she is with some like the American vets, but she's not, the figurehead like a Bananas or a V, like at like the center of it. She's like friendly enough. Like she's not like in the UK, but she's not being targeted by the UK. She's not being targeted by the vets. She's like in a very good spot where she kind of just keep floating on by and like maybe not even see an elimination until like we're at the final 8 or 9, and all of a sudden Michaela's still there. And she's like a major threat to win because she's one of the strongest women in the house, and the men want to work with her in the final. So I understand she wants to like she had the thought process of making big moves and doing all that stuff. But for her, in Survivor, I get it where you have to try to position yourself because you have to sometimes put the fate in your own hands because it'd be taken from you. Michaela is a strong enough player that she could just try to ride out any group she wants and she could win a final. Like she has that capability. Sure, if, heights and swimming we've seen it's kind of is a problem, which could be a big Achilles heel, but getting to a final and doing well, like it's all there for her, so she doesn't need to be rocking the boat that much.
I agree. I think a problem for Michaela, which might prompt her to kind of get the early frustration with like the way things are going in the house, real or not, in terms of the edit, is like she's not in any group. So like I'd feel more confident if I saw Michaela be named in that D, Sydney, Lecca, Jeremy, Newt alliance. She's definitely not in the UK alliance. She sort of publicly called out Olivia, but she wasn't anyway, so I don't blame that. So she's not with sort of like the elder vet women of Vanessa, Ashley, Aviv, Bananas. So I think she's a person where if things keep going the way they're going, she's an easy vote, like Gabe's an easy vote of like she's a vote the veterans in the UK and the new Newts can agree on. But if there's like a change up and they go at each other, then she's in a good spot, like a Cedric. Right. So I don't. It's like one or two ways, right? Like she could squeak through, or she could be targeted the next like 2 weeks.
Yeah, she could.
One thing I still feel like I haven't gotten any clarity on in the last week is like how Aviv can say she has Johnny's back 100%, where she made a plan where like she joined a plan where a vote for America, right. Like if she loses, like even if, and I know a lot of people have come out and said like, it really wasn't about Bananas. It was a vote for Nia. We wanted Nia to stay. So we wanted to give her the easiest way to stay. I think there were other people they could have picked that wouldn't have jeopardized Bananas if that was their goal. But in any case, like Aviv joined a plan that would make Bananas the hangnail.
Right.
Very hard to say you have his back 100%. I think a lot of like interviews and stuff in the last week have said people did not know that Nia was going to de facto be eliminated. So it's not even like she could say that. Like I knew it was a fake vote. So I don't know, but apparently she, for this one remaining week, had his back 100%.
Yeah, I mean, we saw like all of Bananas Angels voted against him basically last week. That was the bizarre part. Like not one of them, like even D, like they all were like willing to toss him to the curb. Let's say, I mean, they said like we'll have his back when it's his time to be voted in, if that was the case, which they tried to make the case here. So honestly, maybe it would have been better for Bananas if he was the hangnail. Maybe the votes could have saved him rather than losing the daily. So could have worked out a little bit better.
All right, I don't have anything else before the deliberation.
I don't think so. I mean, I guess the deliberation. Yeah, let's jump to that. Let's jump to that. The only decision to be made. This was one of those we see the decision and then the flashback where we see Michaela kick the decision to Ben. Ben chooses to vote in Derek Chavez and Izzy, with the rationale being wanting to vote in someone who will take it the least personally, will have no chance of being voted in, and will fear the least blowback from. And that is how they landed on Derek.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a good pick. I thought it was a good speech. I thought it was good that they talked to Derek beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, no notes, like if this is the plan, which I think it is the play.
Yeah. I think once you're drawing dead of Michaela and Ben, of whoever you vote has absolutely no shot of going in, then it's like a classic, pawn situation, burn vote situation of trying just to come up with someone who's going to not want to push it back on you. And I think Derek's probably the best person to choose. So I think he handled it well. I love the fact that he spoke to him before, made the same public speech basically to everyone else. Didn't get caught up in the moment like we've seen other people do in these like public speeches and like go off the rails of being like, we're doing this gay vote, but we really should vote in all the vets or something like that. He just kind of like stuck to his script. So good job by Ben.
Agreed. Should Bananas have done more, right? I mean, we don't see him having any conversation with Michaela and Ben. For all we know, there was a plan. What we see in the edit, Bananas was resigned to sort of take whoever, be it Gabe, be it another plan. Should he have done more to try to get an easier opponent?
Yeah, I think there's a case to be made. I mean, there are other guys out there that, even want to go down the Justin route again, or even like someone like Jake. Obviously, you couldn't go after Ben because he'd won, but if you're just looking for like a smaller guy to go in against, someone like a rookie that, you might also have a mental edge on, I think there was seemingly outs, unless it was just like no one would do that. But we had the confessionals of all of Bananas Angels last week being like, when his game is on the line, we'll have his back. This would be a game on the line situation. Like, I don't want to go up against Gabe. I want to go up against someone else. There was a way to do it. I don't know why he didn't make any sort of pitch that, seemingly would have been like, let me not go against, the behemoth of Gabe.
Yeah, I don't know if Bananas feels like he doesn't have enough votes from people like Derek or Anissa or Bananas who, like, they won't go after him, but they won't vote to help him. Where he didn't want to like look embarrassed to like appeal to Michaela and Ben, and either them not listen to him or then not get the votes between Gabe and whoever he was going for.
Right.
That's Bush League. Like, if that's the case, that's when like ego gets in the way of your game. You should be willing to go out swinging. I mean, we end up seeing that the elimination, it would be a massive advantage for him to go against any of the smaller vets, or newts. But maybe there was a case to be made for Justin, considering Michaela was vocally upset about the vote to save Izzy from Justin and Olivia last week. So maybe that's a way to say, like, there's someone working with the UK, working with people we're not working with. But I don't know. I don't think it would have worked, but I think disappointing to not see like any play.
Yeah, and I do think, I mean, clearly now Banana's gone. I guess maybe if they like rekindle things, but the Will thing is very much deaded. Like, I was stunned by that. Like, the fact that was still like such a huge storyline, like way more it seemed like than the Gabe stuff, and then that was able to just be squelched right away. So good job, I guess, by Will to kind of back off and like fade into the background a little bit more. I don't know how he did it, but I thought even that could have been a pitch of like, let me go after the guy that like, D was hooking up with before, had that one make out with in a hotel. I'll go after him. I don't know. I couldn't believe that situation is not coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I think like to try to advocate for Will is probably like replacement level with Gabe in any given competition. Is that big of a step down from Gabe? When especially, I guess, people don't think Gabe is really performing well. So like then you're looking at size. Will's kind of a big guy too. But yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it then. Like Akiva has a rule with sitcoms that like if somebody's has a closure to their story, it's over. That's what it felt like when Will very out of nowhere woke up and said, I decided to move past this today.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess like D
Yeah.
never cared about it and Bananas never cared about it. So he could just individually decide to move on. It's very
Wouldn't we
weird.
all just like to just decide, all right, we are moving on from this topic. No one could say anything else otherwise.
I mean,
But it
I've
would be
probably done
nice.
that, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it ends up being unanimous. We get to the arena. I think maybe the best arena we've had so far. Like I thought this was riveting to watch.
It was great. Very fun elimination. I think all the eliminations so far have been really cool. This one, hold them back. Kind of a combo like tug of war, balls in, with the crowd remaining silent. One person on one side of the wall, other person on the other. 3 ropes, 3 tokens to put in barrels. And you have to, when the one person, you have to clip it to the rope, run it to the other side. The other person holds you back. In tug of war fashion. Offense, defense, fastest time wins. Very exciting. You see Bananas goes first, and it seemed like he does a decent job of mixing with the going from one rope to the other. It seemed like he had a decent strategy on his side. It seemed like maybe it took him a little time. 11 minutes seemed like a little long. And then we see like what happens when the young buck comes over and just like steamrolls. It's like, oh, that's how it's done. Gabe wins in dominating fashion.
After seeing what Gabe is able to do on offense, it was retroactively amazing to me that Bananas was even able to finish his part of the challenge and he was on offense. Because it seemed like size-wise, Gabe would have been able to hold him forever.
Right.
So, it was even more impressive that Bananas was able to do it at all after watching that. You mentioned everyone staying silent. We got like a weird confessional where someone's like, we're going to be quiet so that we don't accidentally help Bananas or get whatever they said.
Yeah.
That had to be a rule, right?
Had
that
to
they
be.
proud. Yeah. Like they
100%. Because it would have broken the challenge. Like the whole point
Yeah.
of it is you don't know which rope you're going to. You don't know. Like even when they were going through it and Bananas got the 2 in, I was like, oh, how is he like he can't just like beat Gabe one-on-one in tug of war. And then I realized, oh wait, Gabe doesn't know he has the token in those 2, so he could still bounce around and he could still play some mind games with them. Yeah, no, I think even at one point Aviv cheered or almost cheered when Bananas got like the second token in it, and they like someone like held her back, like shh, can't speak. So point to the people who have always said that people should be quiet. And we're like, oh, you can't make that a rule. They won't follow. Well, if they wanted to, they could. In TikTok boy fashion, if they wanted to, they could, because they made a rule, kept people quiet. They kept people quiet, and it kind of made it more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the flip side of that, the spin zone of that interpretation is like, trust them, and when it matters they'll tell them to be quiet, like that. Perhaps production is thinking about this, and when they let people cheer they decide it's not going to break the game or it'll be okay, or the benefit of watching who people cheer for is better. I don't know that I agree with that, but like it's good to see they're thinking about it. But yes, it would have completely destroyed the challenge. And there are sometimes we talk about where like they purposely make the puzzle facing the other way so people can't help. This you could not set up the arena so that the viewers could still see and not see enough to help. So
yeah, the only way you could set it up would be if you set it up that you could only like you were set up behind the person on defense, and you could you were blocked by the wall, so you couldn't see what the offensive person was doing either. But then it's like, what are we even doing? Like that's useless. So just have them.
And then you've got to put the cameras for like on the opposite side. Like
so it was
I don't think
much
that's how
easier.
knows, yeah.
No. This was the way to set it up, and good job keeping quiet. But yeah, just an unbelievable performance by Gabe. Like smokes it. Like his time was 2:01 compared to Johnny's 11:33. Just an unbelievable performance. And yeah, I think this awakens everyone to the threat that Gabe is. So he's really put his foot down here.
Yeah, and it was an obvious comparison for challenge fans to see Gabe it was a second Bananas backpack, really. And then we have CT say, like, I've seen those steps before. And it's just like the same way that CT just like determines, like, puts like one skies out, thighs out, like Bananas backpack, thighs out, like one step in front of the other. Gabe harnesses that same strength and goes one leg, slow leg at a time. It was really, really amazing. Kudos to Gabe.
Very impressive. And then we get the last piece. So we don't know what the points are. I don't think we'll ever find that out into the final. But I think now we officially have the last piece of the show structure. Here we are, episode 4. We find out. So Bananas goes home. Nia went home last week, so we're down 2 vets. Here, when they're doing the pairs, we can't have the opposite stripes lined up anymore. It's down to 2 newts, and Lekka and Gabe are left, and they're now paired together. So I guess the decision has been made. This is the rule. When it's your turn to pick, you have to pick for the opposite stripe, and then whoever's left is paired together.
And presumably, if there were more than one person, they'd still pick in the same order. Like if it came down to like there were 2 male newts.
Yes, that I guess. Yeah, you could pick whoever you want.
Yes, that is like closure to the biggest piece of closure. I still don't understand why they're not allowed to pick the same team member twice, even if not week to week. Like there still has not been one repeat duo. So maybe it'll be the same thing. If there's just like nobody left, you can repeat. I was not under the impression that was a rule, but it just has not happened yet. That can't be by mistake. It's unless again, the cast got together and was like, let's all try to pick each other once first. That would be very strange. Like, I don't know why we're not seeing people try to pick Olivia multiple times. I don't know. It's just bizarre.
Yeah. It's a bizarre rule. I get it that you can't be the same person back-to-back weeks, sure. But yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't just I don't know. Maybe they want the same 4 people, just like rotating partners. But then I don't know. One person it finishes near the bottom, then they can't pick each other. I don't know. There's ways.
Yeah, I'd want to see that. I'd want to see like Izzy and Theo and Olivia and Jake trying to alternate every week, and then Cedric being like, actually, I want Olivia. I think that would be very interesting. One thing I want to check in on, and it's hard because we don't have all of the updates of points, but I do think confirmed Cara got no points because she timed out this week, which puts her at the only competitor with 0 points.
Crazy.
Still in the game, which is really, really shocking.
Shocking.
For Cara.
It's truly shocking. That's crazy. It's one thing to not win a daily, but Cara can't finish top 8. It's been 4 weeks. This is crazy. It's wild.
I have a point theory.
Ooh.
Because I know last week there was speculation on like if the eliminations would go to 2 people going home a week. We were like always, is it a purge? They've got to like pick up the pace of this at some point. Do you think there's a world that the people with the lowest amount of points will be eligible for a purge or will be lopped off if you're the bottom? If you're the bottom person in your stripe, those 4 people will just go home based on points?
I don't think just go home based off points. I'm not the historian. I don't think they've ever had a situation where it's just like you go home. I think the situation of like the bottom 4 in each stripe go into a purge or something like that. I think that is very much on the table. And I think that would be kind of fun. But just the fact of them going home, I don't think they've ever done something like that before. Even though we wanted to, like with the gold skulls and red skulls and stuff like that, they've never just been like, okay, you're God. There's always been like that last challenge to earn it. So I think that could easily be a possibility.
Yeah, I think that I'm willing to be corrected by what actually happens, but right now that would be my favorite result or use of the points is like top half safe, top 8 people with the points safe, like on each side, and then the rest are up for elimination. I think that would be like an appropriate power to give the points, an appropriate value to set with the points.
Yeah, especially to keep the final clean. Like I think that's like the biggest thing is all these things are weirdly impacting a final, and it's like I think if the finals you know, in the sports, it's like the playoffs. I think things like should reset when you get to the playoffs. Everyone's 0-0. Get to the playoffs, like anything, like sure you can have like a home field advantage or whatever, like you have a whatever, but let it just be fresh and let all these points just get you there, and then it's just like go compete in the final.
Here's another question I had with Bananas in the last 2 episodes. Do you think Bananas got a good edit or a bad edit this season?
I think he got an edit. I don't think it was good. I don't think it was bad. I think this is just like him. I think it's a tough look that the I am the challenge is the one that precedes him going home, but that's not an edit thing. Like that's just like what happened. Like he said it and then he went home. I think if he had made it a little bit far, I think that's a fun quote for him to have in his like arsenal of the history of the show. But it's a tough look. He goes home the week after. I mean, like the him and D thing, he didn't look like he looked fine in that. It wasn't like he was being clowned on or wasn't a joke or whatever. Like D was into it, so that wasn't something that was like a bad look. Even on the way out, D was like, "Oh, he's a good kisser. I wish he would stay." It's a bummer he's not. So I think it was a good. If I had to pick one, I'd say good, but I would say it's a neutral edit.
So I would have said, like, because I was on Banana's side with the I am the challenge, sorry to my partner piece, and I thought Izzy and Adrian looked bad last week because they were claiming that their plan wasn't their plan. Derek, apparently, according to someone in our YouTube comments, Diane Bean 5306, said that Derek said on Challenge Mania that the vets were focused on America because they wanted Nia to stay. America was their best shot. She also wasn't aligned with the UK. Bananas inserted himself, made it all about him. If that is the case, and that Izzy and Adrian were correct, then I think Bananas got as favorable an edit as was humanly possible, considering that he went home at the hand of the biggest dodo edit person of the house, like the biggest social pariah of the house, sent him home handedly, like in a decisive victory. And on the heels of him saying, like, I'm the best person who ever lived in this house, right, and you all owe me your life. I think they edited a very bad moment for him to look as favorable as possible. So in that case, I think he got as good an edit as possible. But he definitely doesn't have the CT pro tip edit. He's got a little bit of a Bananas dodo edit.
Yeah, I think I wish I had more things off the top of my head, but since he started the podcast, I think this is like the worst he's done. Like I think he was off for like a couple seasons when he was doing his podcast, and then he came back like 40. He made it to the final. 39, obviously he wasn't on, and now here it's gonna be weird for him to do a podcast about a season that he was on, and now he's like gonna not be on the show anymore for such a large, like I don't know, 90% of the season is gonna be without him. So it's an interesting dynamic for him to wrestle with.
Bananas, he's just like us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we're gonna hear Bananas say, or I wanted to go home? Because sometimes that floats. Like Bananas is a strategy. Is like,
yeah.
I've got other things to do. I'm just cashing a check.
Yeah, we'll see with Derek if Devin comes up with an interview about that. No, I don't think if he should, that would be really trying to, like, he got beat. Like I think usually when Bananas gets beat, he's okay with being like, yeah, this this was a bad, like I just got smoked. Like I think like he usually has no problem saying like this was like not bad luck. He wasn't screwed over. It wasn't like even like the house ganged up on him. Like he lost the daily because of his own doing, and then he got smoked in the elimination because he just got smoked. So if he tries to spin in any other way, it'll be a clown move, and I think he knows that, and I don't think he would try to spin it.
Let's get to some challenge news, if you have a moment.
I do.
Well, first, actually, next week and then next week on, before, not to be confused with TJ's this episode on, right. Someone's apparently going to be removed from the game. Have to leave.
Oh, is this? I don't see. I didn't even see that this week on.
Oh, spoiler.
Yes. Well, I'll TJ will spoil it for me when I start the episode. Is this the quitting? Is this the cheating situation that was like hinted at?
Which I didn't watch that part, so it's just like no. But TJ says this person had to leave or had to go home. I don't think he says the word cheating in this clip.
Okay.
Maybe it is, or maybe someone just had a personal thing or an injury or whatever.
Right.
I don't know how Derek's ACL is, but we'll see how that plays out. Kind of a bummer. Someone just has to get removed from the game for
That would be
not fun reasons.
Yeah. It'll be 2 in 5 weeks. Not great.
But from the challenge media beat, a hearty mazel tov to newlyweds Cam and Leroy. That broke the challenge internet. Very small portion of the internet, but it was so nice to see them. They eloped, just their family, their 2 beautiful kids, and themselves in Detroit. Oh, that was so great. Made me very happy. I was like, oh.
Yes. Good for Leroy and Cam. The royal wedding. Love to see it.
And Cam wrote, like, the butterfly effect is crazy. What if we had never both done vendettas? And I was like, I've been saying that. I forgot. I think I've said it on the show, but like I say that in my personal life. I'm always like, guys, that like life is crazy. Like these 2 reality people who would never have seen each other again had a horrible breakup. So thrilled for them. In less exciting relationship news, word on the street is Nerys and Horacio might have broken up. Our relationship liaison, Nicolette Lindsay, said no confirmation yet at this point. But this could develop by the hour. It's being speculated because neither of them have posted each other or about each other in weeks. Nerys normally posts him or posts about him at least multiple times a week, if not every couple of days. She also hasn't addressed it at all, but has posted some cryptic posts on Instagram. She has also unpinned pictures and videos of them on IG and TikTok. But both are supposed to appear on the Zach Nichols podcast, the live show next month. And then on Reddit, there was like a video of them like kind of making jokes about Nerys and Horacio both being confirmed to be there. So maybe they're sort of like right now they're both going to be there. And then Nicolette provided us a screenshot from Nerys. Nerys has been posting apparently some cryptic Instagram stuff where she posted, "Let them talk about you. Great minds talk about ideas. Small minds talk about people." All right. Well, from 2 small-minded podcasters out here, hope they're both doing well.
Yeah, hate to see it for them. The optimistic side of me says could be good for us if Nerys is not banned from the show. Single Nerys on Challenge 42 could be a lot of fun. Let's root for that.
Yeah, it would be very, very interesting to see how this impacts Nerys on the show. Because I don't think Nerys should be. Who am I to say? I don't think if all Nerys is, allegedly banned for is, calling out MTV for the Jack in the Wall challenge with Derek. Right. That's what you want, right? You want somebody like mixing it up and then they release the tapes and like it's over. So I don't think she should be penalized for caring about her boyfriend and popping off a bit. She was, I think, too important to like the future of the show, frankly, to lose out for that.
Yep.
But it would also be weird to bring her back once they broke up because like it wasn't like a Cara Pauly where she was sort of like, I'm not coming on until my boyfriend can come back on. Our understanding is Nerys's consequences are due to her own action. She's not like standing on ceremony on behalf of her boyfriend. So it'd be very weird for them to lift a ban. If there is a ban, if she is being punished for what she did, it'd be strange to have it lifted just because they broke up.
Yes, that would be very strange. But also MTV themselves are sometimes very strange. And when and how and who bans get lifted for are very strange. Yeah, we don't. The ban could be a complete facade. We don't know that. So I mean, she just missed this one season, right? So like, it's not like she's been banned for like 5 years. So it could be anything.
There are people on this season who have done worse things.
Very true.
And then some weird like little feud moments. I have my phone out to pull this up. So Pauly was in the mix this week on Twitter. I don't know if you saw this.
I saw some snippets.
Yeah, so Pauly and Derek like went at each other where Pauly tweeted, "Nobody should be surprised at the embarrassing performances by the old male vets. I've been trying to tell y'all since I came on that they need to be done. They couldn't keep up with War of the Worlds 1 and 2. They can't keep up now. Bananas is the only one not showing up just to collect a paycheck. Okay. Season 40 should have been the end of it, but season 41 is proving it again. Stay on All Stars where you belong. Which honestly, that shout out to Bananas is very, I mean, he was doing well, but it feels very like when someone tries to like appease Trump or something, you know, it's like, I'm criticizing this, not you, Bananas. I'm criticizing everybody else in this group of people.
Right.
Who hold, I think, less authority than you.
Mm-hmm.
So then Brad quote tweeted, said, your record is weak. Laugh, cry emoji. Hope to see you soon to shut this down myself. Flex on him emoji. Fire emoji. Derek was in the mix and was like, you would have been right there getting DQ'd on the wall with Leroy, Theo, and Ben. FOH with you. Want to be good at the challenge? Have an ass. Laugh, cry emoji. Pauly retweeted it. It was like, I want to be you, the guy who needs me for engagement. Sorry, babe. You're ruining your legacy, showing up and embarrassing yourself daily after daily. Sorry, the truth hurts. Try getting engagement without mentioning my name and we could talk. Wink emoji. Pauly said, I'm reading this out of order. Pauly said, Lord, did the geriatrics learn how to group chats work out of nowhere? I swear I keep waking up to more OGs trying to get the clout and engagement they never get unless they interact with me. Isn't there a bocce ball tournament this week or something? Bocce catching strays. Your online mob tactics won't work with me like they do with other kids who need validation. Also, can the ladies stay out of this? The men can fight their own battles, even though nobody fears them anymore. I love my girlies, but I will drag a bitch if I have to. I'm a equal rights librarian. Wink emoji. And then Derek said, I can fight my own battles or everyone else's. I really DGAF. Your trash talk towards the vets sucks about as bad as your last 2 appearances on the challenge. The only legacy you'll be leaving is your sad tweets on Twitter/X. The only bitch getting dragged is you, currently by the fans. You wish you could be one of us. Now, here's to me why this is all worth reading. Because Corey Lay writes on Instagram, Pauly needs to effing relax. LOL. We get it. You want to be back on the challenge, but stop being so desperate for attention. Really? Like, okay.
But honestly, though, Corey knows how desperate he was to get back on the show. So someone can recognize that behavior in other people. I trust Corey in that regard.
Yeah. So all the people try to fight. So here's a game. Do you know how old? Oh, sorry. One more thing. When Brad got involved, Pauly quote tweeted and said, isn't it pudding time at the retirement home? Watering my eyes, little smile emoji. You ain't shutting anything down until you start hitting leg days, sweetie. I spun your skinny ass around for 45 minutes last time, and I was only 150. You ain't Theo, my boy. I'm doing you all favor. At least you look cute AF without the beard, and you got that. Oh, I don't want to say that.
Okay. We can fill in the blanks.
But
we're playing an age game.
How old Pauly is?
Pauly,
you name the ages of the 3 men in this. I don't have Corey's, but he wasn't calling anyone old or being called old.
Corey Lay. So the name.
Yes, Pauly, Derek, and Brad.
I think the oldest has got to be Derek. I think it was Derek, Brad, Pauly. It was Brad, Derek, Pauly. I'm going from
according to Google. Brad is the oldest.
Brad, Derek, Pauly.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, I'm going to go 44, 41, 38.
Very close. 44. Brad's 44. Nailed it. Derek's 42. Pauly is 36. It's just a really weird angle for Pauly to take to be calling them old, because at this point, Pauly would be in the older generation of challenge competitors. Right. Like, with these newts, like, you've missed the boat. Like, now you are the older veteran. So, like, let's not be coming for people's ages.
Right. He's not in the Gen Z camp coming up from the TikToks.
Right. So, like, by comparison, Cedric is 22. So
wow,
you are closer in age.
Cedric's 22,
according to Challenge Wiki. You're closer in age, Pauly, to Derek than you are to most of these newts.
That's great. So what was Cedric like? I mean, that's right now. He's 22. So was he 20 when he did? I mean, Big Brother was last summer. That's great. 21, I guess. That's wild to be that young.
I mean, he was born in 2002.
So he was what month?
September.
Yeah, so he was 20. He was 21 last summer. That's crazy.
But we are geriatric, so we are offended, Polly, by your accusations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
about our peers.
Hey, you know what? I could call Paulie geriatric.
Yeah, we're both younger than Paulie.
I got some years on Paulie. He's an old timer. Cap.
We're both younger than Polly. Some of us younger than Polly than others.
More, yeah. Anything else? I saw Sarah rehash the the rival.
Oh yeah, I was unwilling to pull that, but
yeah.
No, Sarah didn't rehash it. Sarah didn't did Sarah rehash it? I took a screenshot.
Well, someone said it to Bananas, and then Bananas was like,
she did not.
No.
How dare you? Sarah didn't rehash it.
Sorry, Sarah jumped back in on the discussion. Someone called out Bananas about stealing the money or something like that. It was like, oh, this is worse than what you've done. Da, 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 da. And Bananas said, no, you're an idiot. That was justified. And Sarah came over the top with the clown emoji.
I thought Sarah won that interaction, in my humble opinion.
It does feel like that feels like, I know that not that we don't need to get to the debate of that, but that feels like such a, there's no closure to that. Like they need another season of her. It's crazy that's going to be, I mean, it's great marketing for Sarah of wanting more. The fact that she hasn't been on since that time. And I know there's been some back and forth with some All-Stars seasons, but it would feel incomplete for her challenge career for that to be her last moment on the show.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'd be happy to see Sarah back. Mm-hmm. What she said, she won't come back without Susie. Last I heard, I don't know if that's
who knows if that's true. Supposedly.
Thank you to our 5-star reviewer XOTay52 who wrote a review 5 stars to let us know that Brian's audio was choppy. I appreciate
take back my clapping. I take back my clapping.
Why do you take it back? Leave 5 stars. If she left 1 star and said your audio was choppy, which is probably deserved.
Oh, that my audio is better. Can you fix a review? Can you redo the review and be like, oh, Brian, your audio sounds so much better. 6 stars. 6 stars.
Nah.
Okay. Well, I tried.
That's it.
All right.
For me.
Episode 5 next week. You can subscribe. RABOswebsite.com/challenge feed. Cohen Brian _ on the Twitter. Go follow you.
Nowhere, but NGOG this week. Wrapping up part 3 of the penultimate episode.
Exciting stuff. We'll be back next week for episode 5. Till then, have a good one.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.